Is the national media starting to finally believe in the Chicago Bears? Well, Rich Eisen says that the Bears can win a Super Bowl this year. Caleb Williams says that this is a team to be reckoned with as well. And now CJ Gardner-Johnson is pushing for the Bears to sign Trevon Diggs. Should they? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Eric Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. Y'all, I want to start off with CJ Gardner-Johnson, his thoughts on the Bears signing Trevon Diggs. Trevon Diggs was released by the Dallas Cowboys. And this was something that kind of caught some of the people off guard when it came down to it. Of course, there are stories about Diggs and, what things that led happening to him, including him wanting to stay in Washington after Christmas Day, getting turned down by the team or whatever else. But now Trevon Diggs is out there. He's available, and reportedly he does want to sign with the playoff contender, right? Now, this now has led to a lot of playoff teams are asking themselves, should they look at bringing in Trevon Diggs for their playoff run? And this is quite a late acquisition that could happen there. Now, CJ Gardner-Johnson is somebody who, in seeing the news, he reposted a tweet and basically is giving his stamp of approval for somebody to come in there. When you look at Trevon Diggs as well, this is a guy in his first 3 seasons in the NFL was an absolute stud and a star. 2 Pro Bowl appearances, 17 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns in that time. And that's great. When you look at it in 2021 season, Diggs led the NFL with 11 interceptions and was selected to his first All-Pro team. Since then, it's been a rough go for Trevon Diggs. Just no mistake about that. He did play all 17 games in 2022 as well, but since then, it's been injuries, like other things that have gone on with him that have led him to not be there. He has missed 30 games in the last 3 seasons, which is tough, right? This season, he's played in just 8 games, and he does not have a single interception or even a pass deflection in those 8 games as well. Now, the Chicago Bears secondary can use some big-time help. Kyler Gordon does not seem like he's going to return at all, like not even for the playoffs. This is a secondary that was actually one of the Bears' biggest weapons and strengths, but before being completely picked apart by injury, losing Jalen Johnson for long stretches of the season, Kyler Gordon for the majority of the season, Terrell Smith, who's been a big factor for the Bears, he hasn't played at all this season either, right? And has led players like CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was acquired during the season, and Deshaun Wright, which was an off-season acquisition as well. These guys have played big roles for the Chicago Bears. The question now becomes, does Trevon Diggs actually help the Chicago Bears? And I think at minimum this, right? It's not a bad depth acquisition for it, right? I think that you're looking at that. I think also when you look at Diggs, one of the best seasons that he had when he was already working with Al Harris, somebody that he's our assistant defensive line or secondary coach. He's a secondary coach with an assistant on that defensive unit. So the question now becomes about is what is the value cost and what's the risk of bringing Trevon Diggs here to the Chicago Bears? And here's the thing: even hearing some of the other things, some of the rumors that led to his release with the Dallas Cowboys, I'll say this: he's probably going to be motivated. And at bare minimum, if he comes in and he's not able to focus in and really help you, you sit his ass. But for the Bears, a team that already has lost some help in the secondary, we know what Dennis Allen and the importance of the secondary is to his system as well. I wouldn't mind adding him to Deshaun Wright, adding him to CJ Gardner-Johnson, adding him to Tyreek Stevenson as well. Like, Deshaun Wright has been great at getting takeaways, not so great in coverage. Tyreek Stevenson has had some solid games too. Been kind of up and down season for him. It started off really well for him. It's been kind of up and down for him at times too. They're both inconsistent on one-on-one coverage. Now, we do have Jalen Johnson back. He's been slowly working himself back up to be the Jalen Johnson that we're used to seeing. But, I think adding more depth there is nothing that I would necessarily shake my head at if I'm the Chicago Bears. I'm just trying to think there is a risk there, but I think the risk is so minimal because we've already have our identity. We have the defensive coaches that are not going to allow somebody to come in here and throw off the work that they've already done with this secondary personally. So I don't think it would be absolutely crazy for Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson to at least consider bringing in Trevon Diggs here and to help with this playoff push. Like, the Bears have a legitimate shot here. How big that window is open really depends on how well the Bears can execute game in and game out. But bringing in a veteran like Trevon Diggs, who has had All-Pro and Pro Bowl seasons, I don't think necessarily can hurt, right? Like I said, and maybe I'm missing something. I would love to hear from you guys on this one as far as how you view it. Can this actually hurt the Bears more than I'm giving it credit to? And if so, like I said, I'd love to hear it. But when you look at somebody who's, 27 years old, I believe, and can actually come in here, like CJ Gardner-Johnson himself has been an acquisition in the middle of the season that has actually done wonders for the Bears. Now, he has his own shortcomings too, dealing with some, wide receivers with speed, those very fast wide receivers. But the way I look at it is any depth that you can add here going into the playoffs, you do that, because this is not a situation or an opportunity that's going to present itself a lot of times this close to the playoffs starting. So, I wouldn't be mad at it. I can understand if the Bears don't do it. So it's not going to be a thing where I'm sitting here like, oh my God, how could the Bears not take advantage of adding Trevon Diggs because they had a chance to? I'm not doing that, but I am looking at this and saying, hey, why not take a shot at it? Again, I talk to Al Harris. If Al Harris feels confident in it, I say do it. If Al Harris and Dennis Allen believe that he can come in there and help you guys, and Al Harris believes that his connection and what he's, how he's worked with Trevon Diggs before can help him focus in on this playoff run and motivate him, I think you owe it to yourself as a team, and you owe it to your defensive coaches as well, who's done wonders with this team considering all the injuries and things like that. We still got things that we need to fix this offseason, but I'd absolutely think about bringing that guy in if Al Harris and Dennis Allen sign off on it. But let me know what you guys think down below on potentially bringing Trevon Diggs here to the Chicago Bears, and if it would actually help us, or do you have some fears that it could actually, some points where it could actually hurt us more than help us? Let me know what you think on that down below. But with that said, this is all geared towards, and even this conversation is geared towards what it needs to happen for the Chicago Bears to actually be threats in the playoffs. And while there's some legitimate concerns, the defensive line is a huge one. The consistency or lack thereof of the defense is there as well. The offense with drops, Caleb Williams completion stuff, all those things, there are legitimate things and hurdles that the Bears have for themselves if they really want to make some noise in the playoffs. We first got to take care of the Detroit Lions, so we'll focus on that tomorrow. On tomorrow's mailbag episode, I'll focus in on that. But the question now becomes with this is that what are the Bears' real chances? And Rich Eisen said this about the Chicago Bears. They could absolutely win the Super Bowl this year. No question about it. Two teams that could win the Super Bowl. That would be an incredible NFC Championship game. We're talking about that game for years. So here's the thing, right? And a lot of people have spent the season doubting the Chicago Bears. No doubt about that, right? And that is the national media as a whole. That's some Bears fans, even though they don't like to admit it now. There's been tons of doubt around the Chicago Bears, and the Bears have had to prove it every step of the way with the way that they've performed, the consistency in which they've won games at, and that's great to see. Like, what I think about the national media. I really don't give a shit, to be 100% honest with you. At the end of the day, the national media is there to sell storylines. They're there to sell ads. They're there to sell commercials. They're there to sell their network. So it takes that for what you will. The skepticism around the Bears, though, has been legitimate, and I'm not going to be a front runner or just so caught up in my fandom that I can't act like there are legitimate criticisms and critiques about this Bears team. But here's the thing. You got to look to the sidelines as well with things, and that's something that you have to look at. What Ben Johnson has brought to the sidelines for the Chicago Bears does make this team different than what we've been in the past. The accountability that he preaches, the execution that he brings, the creativity that him and Dennis Allen, Dennis Allen on the defensive side, but him and Declan Doyle and Eric Bieniemy and what that means, right? A lot of what's turned around for the Bears as far as in the national media has been because of Ben Johnson. And it's been also because of Ben Johnson's relationship with Caleb Williams and the vision he has for Caleb Williams and how Caleb has improved as a quarterback under Ben Johnson. There's just no doubt about that. There's still things that Caleb needs to work on, but there's just no doubt about that. This Ben Johnson doing what he's done in year one of this team. And when you look at the difference between this team under Eberflus versus this team under Ben Johnson, yes, we've revamped the offensive line. That plays a big role into that. We've gotten weapons that fit Ben Johnson's system better. That plays a part into that. But at any point last year, did you believe that any of that could happen under Matt Eberflus? If you gave Matt Eberflus this exact same roster, how would you feel about it? I don't think I'd feel as confident as I feel in this team right now. I don't think this team would have the record that it does now. It doesn't mean that Ben Johnson has been perfect. Ben Johnson will be the first to admit that there's been some shortcomings from him as a play caller and some things that he's missed as a coach. And that's part of the reason why I love Ben Johnson, because rather than blow smoke up our ass like Matt Eberflus did, Ben Johnson has shot it straight just about every step of the way and shot it straight with holding himself accountable, which is a big thing with that one when it comes down to that one. So that is a major part in all of this, right? The confidence that we now have on the sidelines, it then of course goes into the execution that we see on the football field. And that is a big difference now in this hopeful playoff run by the Chicago Bears is we have the people on the sideline. Now, I would say this, when it comes to Ben, I need to see Ben Johnson understand to trust the run game a little bit more often, and I'll give him credit for that. And I want to see that for him. That's a criticism that I have of Ben Johnson, which I think we've seen the balance be, better. And we saw that under Detroit too. The balance between the pass and the run got better every single year Ben Johnson was in Detroit. And it's something that I think Ben Johnson has to find his way to trusting that he's going to get the performance he needs. But the offensive line too. That's a big reason. I talked about it probably a week ago at this point, where I said that whatever the Bears can do in the postseason, the offensive line is going to be a huge reason for that. Whether it's the holes that they open in the run game and how they've allowed these running backs to adapt a more aggressive run style and always get positive yardage more times than not. Whether it's protection that Caleb Williams that has now with this offensive line, and Caleb has talked about that. But trenches are a key to playoff success for any team. And when you look at the Bears' offensive side of the trenches, there's a lot of confidence there. When you look at the Bears' defensive side of the trenches, it leaves a lot to be desired. And I would not be surprised if whatever struggles we see for the Bears in the postseason, a lot of that comes down to the inability of the defensive line to be consistent. We've seen some games of it, like against the Browns, Shedeur Sanders, 15 QB hits, 5 sacks. That was great to see. Now, that level of production is hard to keep up for multiple games, but it's just been so wildly inconsistent. And I said it on yesterday's episode. I'm not going to be mad or be surprised if the Bears decide to completely revamp the offensive line. The defensive line this offseason. I don't expect everyone to go, but I do think the Bears need to seriously think about what they want to invest. Now, Austin Booker, solid. He can stay. Grady Jarrett hasn't really been much for the Bears. We've seen veterans in their first year not necessarily have great years after adapting. Maybe that's what it comes down to for Grady. Maybe we get better out of Grady Jarrett next year. Javon Dexter, as much as I defend him in the offseason, he hasn't taken a step this year. Javon Dexter's been the same player that he was last year for the most part. And Montez almost there, Sweat. Well, that goes without saying. But I do expect the Bears to heavily invest in it. And hopefully that's edge what they do in the offseason is heavily invest in that edge position. But outside of that, I'll say this. The Bears aren't the throwaway team in the postseason that some people are trying to make them out to be. And I will stand by that. I don't think that they're that at all. Now, I will say this on top of that, though. They got a lot of things that they're going to have to do in games to make sure that they need to bring together a lot of what we've seen from the Bears over the last 3 or 4 weeks, right? What they did against the Niners, scoring in every single quarter of scoring. You need that, right? And scoring a touchdown more times than that. You need that. That's going to have to be something that is part of your identity in the playoffs. At times of seeing the Bears get stops, the defense gets stops when it's needed the most. That's something we're going to have to see. Caleb Williams' accuracy coming and going and his ability to pick apart a secondary that we've seen against the Giants. And he did pretty damn good against the Browns. And then we saw him do pretty damn good against the 49ers as well, and solid in the second half of both games against the Green Bay Packers. We need that for a full 4 quarters. So there are things we need to build off on that we've seen glimpses of this season, absolutely, but a big part of that is going to be the trenches. It's always going to be a big part of whatever you're able to do in the offseason. So we just need to see the Bears take those things, put it all together. I would love to see it this Sunday against Detroit, how much they can put together for a full 4 quarters of football. And if you're able to do that, you're in a much better situation, in a much better space as a team. You just need to do that consistently, and we'll see if the Bears can. Let me know what you guys think on that down below. For what it's worth, though, Caleb Williams is confident in his team, as he should be. Caleb Williams said this: I think we've proven who we are. We'll fight, and I think we're a team to be reckoned with. I'm excited for this next game. I'm excited to go back and watch the film and figure out how we can do better, how we can put up more points, how we can be more efficient of offense for moments like this, because we may see this team again. We may see the other offensive again. Think that are similar and things like that. So like I said, I'm excited for what's to come in that sense. We're a team that's going to fight, and I think we've proven that, and that this team has. I don't care how much of a naysayer you are about the Chicago Bears. This team has proven that they're going to fight down the stretch of every single game, that they're going to find ways to make every single game interesting. And like I said many times before, that's playoff football. Is to make it interesting. It's not always going to be the prettiest. The Bears have not learned how to make it pretty yet. The Bears have not learned how to make it flawless yet, but they're winning football games. And winning ugly is still a win. And like I said, I'd rather win ugly than not win at all, and then find ways to start making those wins a little bit more consistent, a little bit prettier, those type of things. And that's just what it comes down to, man. The Bears and the way that they matched up with the 49ers gave me a lot of confidence for what they can be in the playoffs. As far as the offense, the defense, listen, the defense gets a couple of key stops, man. I think we're right there in that game. I think we have definitely a chance to win that game. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, nobody's going to give you a win because you could have won. You got to go out there and prove it. And your record is your record. At the end of the day, no matter what, whether it's ref decisions, whatever happens down the stretch of a game, your record is your record. And that's what the Bears have to work with. We sit now at 11-5 on the season with a chance to get to 12 wins this season when we take on the Detroit Lions. And this team is going to have to continue to prove things. And Caleb has 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, no sacks taken at all. And there were some times where he should have taken some sacks, but his ability to get creative and be elusive avoided that. This team has more firepower than what people are thinking. And keep in mind, that's without Rome Odunze. That's with DJ Moore being absolutely sick and damn near on death's door. This team, and we're never going to get fully healthy this season, but this team getting closer to full health for the playoffs is absolutely a team to be reckoned with. And if you doubt that, that's on you. You have your right to do that. But I think this team is going to surprise some people with the way they perform in the playoffs. I'm not saying that means they're going to win every game in the playoffs or anything like that, but it does mean that just the tone of this team is different. Just the place that this team is in a much different place than what we've been for years. And we just got to continue to grow through that. Like, I came into the season, I said growing pains are growing pains, right? And that's just the thing that happened with it. But you had a flu bug that hit your locker room in week 17, and you end up losing a close game. Now, hopefully that flu bug is making its way through. Ben Johnson has talked about it in his press conference today. He said this: we all understand that if someone has to go down because they're sick, that's when someone has to step up. We did the best we could as an organization in terms of trying to stop it, from masks to washing hands and being diligent that way. It certainly did a number on our guys, but we felt about the guys that went into the game with they were going to be able to play, and they play like they're 100%. So, listen, the Bears could have been without even more players, according to Ben Johnson in week 17. But this team figured it out, and they played. And, yeah, they didn't get the win, but I think that does show as well, like, the sacrifice of this team. This team believes in each other. This team believes in themselves. And that's a great thing to have for a team that came off of being under Matt Eberflus. So, listen, whatever happens in the playoffs, you got to beat who's in front of you. And that's part of the trajectory here. But the Bears are ahead of schedule. I can go back. I can pull the receipts. How many of y'all predicted the Bears to win 5 games? How many of y'all said that, the Bears are going to clearly have to take a step back? Because that's just what happens when you get a rookie head coach. That's what a lot of you guys were spewing in the comments for months of the offseason. The doubt, right? This team is ahead of schedule. And now that the Bears have won 11 games, and don't get me wrong, the standard should change when you do that. But now some of those same people that were saying there's no way this team wins above 5 or 6 games. Now, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't win against the 49ers. How can we lose that game? Listen, you're going to lose games. Some of y'all predicted us to lose 12. Our record may be the invert of what you guys predicted for this Bears team. Growth is not all linear. Growth is not all sensible either. You can look at a team, and sometimes the way that a team grows, because what you can't dictate, what stats, what analytics, what all those won't tell you is the heart of a team. And this Chicago Bears team has heart. These Bears got teeth, and they're not afraid to use them. So, we're going to, like, the fact that we've had to fight and claw our way to 11 victories, listen, y'all can use that as a knock if you want to. I'm going to use that as, that shows the pride that this team has. That shows the fight that this team has in them. And they've had to fight, claw, and scratch their ways to those 11 wins. Now, let's get this last win out the way against the Detroit Lions, because the Lions are coming, and they are not going to take it easy on the Chicago Bears by any stretch of the imagination. So, the Bears got to be prepared for this one. Do not let them come and punch you in the face when they're fighting for nothing, and we're still fighting for that number 2 seed in the NFC. Let's go out here. Let's get the number 2 seed, and then let's focus on what we need to do in the playoffs, regardless of who our playoff matchup is. The Niners, the Packers, whoever it is, the Rams, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Not in the sense that we're just going to win, but it doesn't matter because everything about the identity of this team tells us that they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to compete. They're going to find a way to fight. And I love rooting for a team that I can say legitimately is going to find a way to fight, because we haven't always had that. We haven't had that in a long time. But this team is different, and it's not just the talent, but it's the belief. It's the identity. It's the expectations set by this coaching staff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should the Bears go after Trevon Diggs? Do you believe that this team can actually make a Super Bowl run? And what does it mean now that the national media seems to be coming more and more on board for the Chicago Bears? If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. If you want to follow us, you can do so at Chi Bear Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. Chi Bear Central, Chicago Bear Central @gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number 1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.